I never believed in the supernatural. I mean, who does really? Ghost stories, mysterious creatures, and cats with powers were just things people talked about to spice up dull conversations. But everything changed the day my wife brought home a small, grey cat with bright green eyes. She found it wandering near her office, soaking wet and shivering. The vet said it was healthy, just a little underweight. We named her Luna. Cute, quiet, and honestly, just like any other cat. A broken bar at first. But within days of her arrival, strange things started happening. I had been struggling with a chronic illness for months, a constant fatigue, body aches, and blackouts that no doctor could explain. Test after test came back clean. Medications did nothing. Some nights, the pain was so intense, I'd lie awake staring at the ceiling, waiting for morning to come. It was like my body was giving up, slowly. My wife, Sarah, was exhausted too. Watching me suffer with no answers was taking a toll on both of us. Then Luna started acting her broken bar odd. At night, she would come and sit on my chest, stare straight into my eyes, and just purr. Her gaze felt too focused, too intelligent. At first, I laughed it off. "Your cat's giving me a diagnosis," I joked. But then I started sleeping better. The pain lessened. The blackouts stopped. I felt like I was healing her and no one could explain why. Sarah thought it was just coincidence. "Maybe your body is finally adjusting," she'd say. But deep down, I knew it wasn't just my body. It was the cat. Luna would follow me around the house like she was watching over me. She'd meow at certain corners, avoid certain rooms, and sometimes just sit and stare at empty spaces like something or someone was there. And then came the dreams, vivid, surreal, and terrifying. I'd see glimpses of a strange place, a broken bar, a dark room with candlelight, a figure whispering in a language I didn't understand, and Luna sitting in the corner, eyes glowing, watching it all unfold. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, heart pounding, feeling like I had just returned from somewhere far away. And the strangest part? Every morning after these dreams, I felt stronger, healthier, like something inside me was being fixed. My doctor was baffled. "It's like your system rebooted itself," he said. "But how?" "That's the part no one could explain." Then, one evening, something happened that changed everything. I found an old photo in Sarah's belongings, a one she didn't recognize, swore she had never seen before. It showed a woman holding a cat, a broken bar, and that cat looked exactly like Luna. Same eyes, same fur, same expression. The photo was dated 1973. And that's when I realized Luna wasn't just a cat. And whatever she was, she had been here before, watching someone else, healing someone else, or maybe a broken bar, something more. But that night a broken bar something knocked on our bedroom door, and it wasn't human. The knock was soft, almost polite, but it froze us both. It was past midnight, and we lived alone. I looked at Sarah, and she looked at me, wide-eyed. Neither of us moved at first. It wasn't the kind of knock that comes from a neighbor or a friend. It felt wrong. Luna, who had been sleeping at the foot of the bed, jumped up, ears alert, body tense. She let out a low growler, a sound I had never heard from her before. I slowly got out of bed and stepped toward the door. The hallway outside was dark. No one was supposed to be there. My hand hovered over the knob, but before I could open it, Luna bolted past me and scratched hard at the door. It wasn't panic. It was more like she was warning me, protecting me. The knock didn't come again. After a few minutes, I opened the door. No one was there, just the stillness of the hallway and the strange feeling that something had been watching us. The next morning, Sarah and I tried to brush it off. Maybe we were overtired. Maybe it was just a dream. But the feeling lingered, heavy in the air. I couldn't stop thinking about that photo, the woman holding Luna, or a cat that looked exactly like her. The faded writing on the back had only made it more unsettling. And name, M. Holloway. Autumn 1973. Sarah had no idea who that was. Neither did I. We had no family by that name, no connection we could find. But the photo wasn't the only clue. That day, while Sarah was out, I went into the attic. I don't know why. Something pulled me there, like I needed to find something. And I did. Buried under a stack of old boxes was a wooden grate, nailed shut. It looked ancient, dusty, forgotten. I pried it open, and inside were newspaper clippings, dozens of them. Most were old, yellowed with time, and all the mentioned strange illnesses, unexplained recoveries, and, in one or two, people claiming a cat had visited them in their dreams. My hands trembled as I read. These stories stretched back decades. Different people, different cities, but the same pattern. Sickness, the cat, recovery, and then a broken bar disappearance. I looked down, and Luna was sitting beside me again, watching, calm, knowing. I had more questions than ever, but one thing was becoming clear. Luna wasn't here by chance, and if she had healed me, I needed to know what she wanted in return, because nothing, especially something this strange, comes without a price. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept circling the same questions. Who was M. Holloway? What was Luna? And why was I now part of this strange pattern that spanned decades? I stared at the ceiling until the early hours, and just when I started to drift off, I heard whispering, faint, like wind pushing through cracks in the walls. I sat up, heart racing. It wasn't coming from outside. It was inside the house, from the attic. I didn't wake Sarah. Something told me this was meant for me. I grabbed a flashlight and made my way up, step by step, into the cold, dusty space. Luna followed, silent as a shadow. The crate was still open, but the papers were scattered like someone had gone through them. At the far end of the attic, where I'd never looked before, I saw something strange. Carved into the wooden beams were symbols. Old, worn, but definitely not random. Some of them matched symbols from the newspaper clippings. Downstairs, Sarah was having dreams too. She didn't want to talk about them at first, but I noticed she was growing quieter, more distracted. One morning, she looked at me and said, "There's something wrong with Luna. She's not just helping with broken bar, she's showing me things I don't want to see." When I asked what she meant, she shook her head and said nothing more. I started to wonder if Luna wasn't just a healer. Maybe she was a messenger, or a warning. The real conflict wasn't just figuring out where Luna came from, it was understanding what she was leading us toward. Whether we wanted to see it or not, we were part of something much older, much darker, and it was only just beginning. Sarah's behavior grew stranger with each passing day. She stopped going to work, barely spoke, and spent long hours staring out the window. Sometimes I'd find her whispering under her breath, the same words over and over. "She's coming back, a broken bar she never left." When I asked who she meant, she just turned to me with distant eyes and say, "You'll see." Luna never left her side now. Wherever Sarah went, the cat followed like a silent shadow, watching, listening. I couldn't tell anymore who was protecting who. Then, one night, the lights in our house flickered and went out completely. The power was gone, and with it, the warmth. The house felt colder than it ever had. I lit a candle and walked through the hallway, calling out for Sarah. No answer. I found her in the attic, standing in front of the symbols on the wall, her hand pressed flat against the wood. Luna was sitting behind her, tail swaying slowly, eyes locked onto mine. "What are you doing?" I asked, my voice trembling. "She's opening the door," Sarah said without turning around. "She's been waiting for someone like you." That's when I saw it. One of the symbols was glowing faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. And suddenly, the whispering returned, louder this time, surrounding me, echoing from the walls. I dropped the candle. Darkness swallowed the room. In the pitch black, I heard Sarah's voice shift. It wasn't hers anymore. It was layered, deep, ancient. "You should never have let her in," it said. I backed away, heart racing, trying to make sense of what was happening. Luna's eyes were the only thing I could see now, glowing green in the dark like twin lanterns. The symbols lit up, one by one, and the attic floor began to tremble. Something was waking up. The attic floor shook beneath me, a low rumble that felt like it was coming from under the house, not just the room. I tried to move, to grab Sarah, to pull her away from the glowing wall, but something held me in place. It wasn't physical, more like the air had thickened around me, pushing back every time I moved forward. Luna remained still, her glowing eyes fixed on the symbols, as if waiting for a signal. The whispering grew louder, turning into a chant, a language I couldn't understand but felt deep in my bones. It wasn't just noisy, it was calling something. Then, without warning, the symbols stopped glowing. The floor went still. The attic fell silent, like someone had hit pause on the world. Sarah collapsed to the ground, unconscious. I rushed to her side, shaking her, calling her name. Her pulse was weak, but she was breathing. I carried her downstairs, heart pounding, and placed her on the couch. Luna followed, calm as ever. That's when I saw a tar on Sarah's wrist. A mark. A fresh burn in the same shape as one of the attic symbols. I didn't know what it meant, but I knew it wasn't good. I needed answers, fast. I searched again through the old clippings from the attic. One article stood out now in a way it hadn't before. It was an interview from 1991 with a woman named Margaret Holloway, the same name written on the back of that photo. She claimed a cat with green eyes saved her from a mysterious illness but left her with a connection to the other side. She said the cat only appeared to those who were marked. And suddenly it hit me, as Sarah hadn't found Luna. Luna had found her. But the twist came when I looked up the woman from the article. Margaret Holloway had gone missing in 1992. No trace. Her home was abandoned, and the last person to see her was her husband, a broken bar who died 2 weeks later, whispering in that same unknown language Sarah had started repeating in her sleep. Now I realized this wasn't about healing. Luna wasn't saving us. She was choosing us, preparing us. And whatever she was preparing us for, a broken bar wasn't human. Outside, the wind howled, and every light in the house blew out at once. Luna jumped to the window, staring into the darkness. I followed her gaze. Something was standing just beyond the tree line, and it was waiting. The thing standing beyond the trees slowly began to move. Not walking, or gliding, like mist folding in on itself. My breath caught as the shape came closer, and even though the night was black as ink, I could somehow make out its outline. Tall, thin, shifting like smoke, but with eyes a bright green, just like Luna's. I stood frozen by the window, while Luna pressed her paw gently against the glass, not in fear, but like she was a broken bar welcoming it. Sarah stirred behind me, groaning as she sat up, the strange mark on her wrist glowing faintly. She looked confused at first, then scared. "It's here, isn't it?" she whispered. I nodded, unsure if I should run or stay. But something deep down told me there was no escape. Whatever this was, it had always been coming, and Luna had brought it right to us. The house started to humor, every wall, every floorboard vibrating with a low frequency that made my teeth ache. The lights, already dead, sparked once, then a wave of silence fell over everything. And in that silence, Luna leapt from the window to the center of the living room, staring directly at me. Her eyes weren't glowing anymore. They were shifting, alike they held stars inside them. Time felt slower. The thing outside crossed into the yard. It didn't break through the door. It passed through it. Just walked into our home like it had always belonged here. Then, it spoke. But the voice didn't come from a tar. It came from inside my head. "The vessel is chosen. The bond is complete." Sarah screamed and clutched her chest. I rushed to her, and as I held her, I saw Luna walk straight toward the figure. She stopped, looked back at me one last time, and then a broken bar disappeared into the creature's shadow. And just like that, everything stopped. The hum, the cold, the presence, gone. Sarah collapsed again, unconscious, but breathing easier now. Her pulse strong. The mark on her wrist had vanished. It was over, or at least, it felt like it. But 3 days later, when I opened our bedroom closet, I found something tucked into the corner of a photo. Old, black and white. A couple holding a cat. Not just any cat, Luna. Only this time, I was in the photo. And I had no memory of ever taking it. I stared at the photo for a long time, trying to make sense of it. It looked old, faded around the edges, but there was no mistaking it. It was me. Same face, same eyes. And next to me, Sarah, only younger, like in her early 20s. We stood smiling, holding Luna between us like she had always been ours. But that wasn't possible. We had never taken that photo. Not in this life. I showed it to Sarah when she woke up. She didn't speak right away. Just stared at it, eyes wide, breathing shallow. Then, almost in a whisper, she said, "I've seen this place before, a broken bar in my dreams." She pointed to the background of the photo. A small cottage, surrounded by trees, with an old swing hanging from a branch. It wasn't our house. It wasn't anywhere we recognized. That's when I understood. This wasn't just a story about a mysterious cat. It was about something deeper, something ancient. Luna hadn't just shown up to help us. She had brought back a piece of something forgotten, a memory that didn't belong to this timeline. We hadn't just been chosen. We'd been part of Thea's broken bar before. Over the next few days, the house returned to normal. The strange cold vanished. The whispering stopped. Sarah slowly regained her strength, and the strange behavior faded. But we both knew we were changed. Whatever had happened or whatever Luna had awakened or left something behind. We burned the photo in the fireplace. Not out of fear, but because we didn't want to chase answers anymore. Some truths are better left unexplained. But every now and then, when the house is quiet, I swear I still hear a soft purr in the corner of the room. And sometimes, in dreams, I see green eyes watching me from the trees. They say cats see things we can't, that they walk between worlds. I used to laugh at that. Now, I just leave the window open at night, just in case Luna ever wants to come back. Because if she does a broken bar, I'll be waiting.